Hi! Finally making a video and one of my cats is in the way already, knocking stuff over. Hi, Scotty, say hi. Scotty says hi, guys. Anyways, Scotty says hi, guys. So anyways, I haven't made a YouTube video in probably like 2 weeks or more. Things have been pretty chaotic on my end. I've been pretty overwhelmed. A lot of personal stuff going on. And I just haven't felt up to making one. And, so I just haven't made one. Been trying to keep you guys updated in the schedule on my numerology forecasts, which is kind of like, I guess, one of the perks of getting that if you, are subscribed, which I don't know if you guys actually care about knowing the sort of tentative schedule of when I release videos or if I'm going to be on Periscope or whatever, but if you do, that's one of the perks, is that I'm going to announce that on my newsletter basically, and you're going to be the first to know when I'm like doing things basically. So anyway, so basically what today I'm going to be talking about is like self-love, and more specifically like how that applies to empaths and like as a whole, like why self-love is so hard, because it's extremely hard. And something that I didn't mention and I wanted to kind of be a surprise is the death card. I wanted to incorporate this because one, death hands down is honestly my favorite card. And I want to kind of talk about that today. Not only that, but how that actually ties into self-love. And also, like I said, being an empath and why death actually is probably a very important card in tarot. But something that also I wanted to tell you guys is that I got the Animal Spirit deck from Wild Unknown. I ordered it. I don't have it yet. But super excited because when that comes in, I'm going to probably do something really fun with that. Probably, maybe, depending on when it comes in and what's going on with me that day, I'll probably hop on Periscope and do like a live unboxing for you guys. If you guys are interested in that, I figured that would be pretty fun to do like a live unboxing and maybe like pull a few cards for everybody. Hi, Scotty. Scotty is apparently feeling like being on video for you guys today, so hope you guys don't mind. But so I'm gonna try and keep this pretty short today because I actually have a lot to get done. So, but regardless, I really wanted to make this video because this is a video that's really important to me, and I wanted to make it for a while, but just me and my feelings and my schedule just haven't really permitted it for a while. So I wanted to do it when I felt up to it, as well as when I actually had the time to do it. So anyways, but whenever my Animal Spirit deck does come in, I want to try and do something fun for you guys, and I figured that would be like pretty awesome to do a live unboxing, because when I do reviews for decks, I don't really want to do them right as I get them exactly, but because I like to kind of wait a few days, more so maybe like a week at least, to kind of get some handling on the deck and see what potential errors I might experience with it, whatever. But regardless, I still want to do a live unboxing for you guys and maybe pull some cards because I think that would be super cute and fun. Anyways, so also some more updates. Doing a giveaway right now that's really fun. The May Day giveaway that ends the 5th. So you've got 2 more days to enter that. You can win personally from me a spring renewal reading, which I need to go look because that's probably something that I'm not even supposed to be offering anymore, but I don't care to like give that away. But if there's so much stuff over here, and like so much noise is going on. Like, I know people like have this misconception that like living in rural areas, rural areas that there's like so much quiet and like nothing going on. No. People are like out all day long, like doing shit, and they're just, I don't know, like I can't even concentrate. People are just doing shit, messing around. I don't even know. But I mean, I get it. The cities definitely are way louder. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and dive into what I'm trying to talk about here because there's just so much going on. It doesn't look like it's going to die down anytime soon today. It's been raining here and storming and like flooding for like 3 days. And I guess everybody is like got a wild hair up their ass now that it's like suddenly stopped raining this afternoon. So anyways, basically, first I actually did a Periscope like a month or so ago about like being an empath and like what that means and whatnot. But first, I want to go ahead and talk about self-love. So generally, like we think about self-love and we're like, okay, well, people tend to think they have a good idea of what self-love is. Like, okay, that's just like taking care of myself, taking a shower, doing things that I need to do anyways, eating. But yeah, I mean, that does encompass self-love. You should be doing those things for yourself. And it's really easy to not even be aware that you're undermining things like that by not even having a healthy schedule of those things. Because it can be easy if you are someone who is prone to depression to overeat or undereat, skip meals because you're so busy doing something, so busy with your schedule that you're like, well, I'll eat later. I mean, and you're not prioritizing self-care. And those are just some very minute examples. But the bigger picture here when it comes to self-love is truly being kind to yourself, because we live in a society where self-love is actually something that is so scarce rather, sorry, that it's almost foreign to us. We, especially women, but men too, because we live in a world where men also get an idea in which that if they don't meet this sort of standard of hypermasculinity, then they are not men. So, I mean, it definitely affects everyone. So, the point here is that self-love is something that everybody in a lot of ways has missed out on in this society, because we feel like we are constantly so fixated on looking towards this ideal of something that we are setting up for ourselves that we in no way cannot basically can't meet, and that we just continue to fixate on that instead of finding the love inside ourselves for what we already are. I hope that makes sense. And so instead, we're constantly badgering ourselves, looking down on ourselves for who we are, rather than breaking down this ridiculous standard for what we can never be. Something that is just truly irrational to idolize, because society has set up this insane standard for what we should basically pursue for who we need to be. And that's society's problem, not ours. Because we shouldn't be mad at ourselves for being unable to attain that. And so really, when it comes to self-love as a whole, that's why self-love is hard. Because we have to slowly undo all this damage, all the societal damage that's so ingrained in us, that most of us have learned at an early age as children to build up to basically expect of ourselves, to feel like we have to meet as people. And so as you grow older and start realizing that you can't meet these standards, that you can't have this certain body no matter how hard you work out, no matter how little you eat, or that you can't always have this sort of, sorry, there's some sort of ruckus going on out there, which drives me crazy because I'm trying to have this intense discussion with you all. Anyhow, as you basically continue to progress, especially as you get older and enter adolescence and start seeing all this higher, intense pressure to meet these sort of clicks and all this other stuff and all these other further reasons that you cannot meet these standards that you've set up in your head that you need to meet, that's when you start to really, really find self-love much harder for yourself. Because then you're met with the conflicts of, one, you're not this person that you feel you need to be, and then two, the difficult pressures of being let down and also feeling basically just the general pain of constantly, just the general pain, I guess what I'm trying to say here is the general pain as a whole of not being the person that you feel you need to be, and the pain that that presents for you in terms of, I guess, feeling that you are not satisfying the world's needs when it comes to acceptance. And then you are left with this kind of broken image in terms of how you view yourself. So then where does that leave you? That leaves you left to pick up the pieces, and you have no idea how. And that's when it comes to trying to learn the ideas of self-love. And so basically, that's why self-love is so hard, because we are taught all these ways of how to view ourselves that are very skewed and inappropriate and hard to meet, but not taught how to love ourselves appropriately, rather. So when it comes to self-love, the first and most important thing that you can do is basically start looking at yourself and finding real reasons to love yourself. And that is so hard for some people, and especially me myself, someone who grew up exactly like falling into the same negative patterns that I just discussed with you guys. Like, growing up, especially being an overweight child who very early on fell into the patterns of binge eating and has struggled with like eating disorders my entire life and still do. Like, you find that as a major reason as to why you will always struggle with not being able to accept yourself, because you're teetering constantly with society's ideals of like what makes you beautiful and what makes you acceptable. And so basically, you have to learn how to love yourself by your own honest expectations, but that's so hard to undo and figure out and dig deep at to what is truly your own honest expectations of yourself. And that's the first thing that you can do, is truly like reflect and dig deep beneath that convoluted soil of yourself, basically, and find all these reasons to truly love yourself. And that needs to be such a truly pure cathartic experience for yourself in order to connect to that sense of self-love. And basically, why that's harder for empaths is because, sorry, I've got a hiccup. In terms of why that's harder for empaths, and to just reiterate what some of you may not know if you are not an empath, or you think you might be an empath and may have missed my Periscope on being an empath. Being an empath means that you are a very, very highly sensitive individual. And what this means is that, to kind of give you a basis for the word, okay, we look at sympathy. Sympathy means that you feel sorry for someone. Empathy means that you truly understand where someone's coming from. That's just the idea and the basis for the word. But when you are an empath, this is an extrasensory ability, and it means that you truly take on the emotions of other people and the energies in the environment, and even the energies of animals and so forth. That means you truly absorb the energies and emotions of other things and situations and in the environment. So, this can be very, very pleasant at times, but it can also be extremely disruptive and can be very, it can just be very hard to deal with, honestly. There are honestly levels of being empathic. I myself am strongly empathic to the point that I can sense the energy in plants. I know when my plants need attention. I know when they are basically feeling low and need water and so forth. I can sense the shifts in the environment. I know when it's about to rain, even before like the clouds shift, if that makes sense. I'm not saying, oh, the clouds change color, it's about to rain, duh. I'm saying like I can sense like environmental shifts and everything. I'm very highly empathic. And then some people are just low empathic, which means that they can shift when they can sense when somebody is just generally feeling depressed without saying anything. Like they can be acting joyful, but inside they're hurting. And a low level empathic person can sense that. Sense things like that. That's your basic empathic person. They're highly sensitive, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to connect to plants and animals. So, anyways, to go ahead and further explain a little bit further, if you think you might be an empath, this means that you feel very susceptible to like violence in movies. Like if you were to see a very violent movie, it would affect you deeply, and you would feel very bothered by that. Strangers feel very drawn to you because you have a generally very kind demeanor without you even realizing it. So strangers will come to you and want to talk to you basically and tell you their life story. So if you've ever had that overly awkward experience with strangers, that's why. Um, Generally, you are prone to depression and anxiety, unfortunately, because of how influenced you are by other people's emotions. It makes you very emotionally weak and drained. And even other people's depression and anxiety influences your own and makes you feel worse, unfortunately. And basically you also can be influenced by other people's happiness too. Like if you walk in a room and generally the atmosphere is joyful, you will feel better. So I mean, it's not always bad. And overall, you have the potential to really help people because they will be very rewarded by the fact that you honestly and genuinely understand them and where they're coming from. So anyways, to go ahead and get back to the path that I'm discussing here, basically when you're an empath, it is much harder for you to connect to your sense of self-love because people, even if they don't mean to, they will latch onto you and drag you down without even meaning to. And and then sometimes people do it on purpose because you will honestly pull out narcissists and very negative people because they will sense that kind of subconscious desire to help others in you, and you will attract people who do not have such kind um, desires for you, and they will latch onto that and be very unkind to you. And a lot of times empaths will inevitably be drawn into abusive relationships or abusive friendships as a result, and that can be obviously very detrimental to your self-love and self-worth. So being an empath, it's almost like kind of like really makes finding your self-love much harder because you kind of are even more vulnerable as an empath. So I want to dive in because I need to kind of finish this up here, guys. But this has been a very potent discussion for me, and I hope for you as well. But death. Why this is my favorite card and why this is relevant to this discussion. And I picked this particular card because its representation is exactly what I'm trying to discuss here. So, now, hold on. I get so annoyed because every time I try and show you cards, it always wants to have this nasty glare. So hopefully you guys can see this better. Now, I picked this particular card. This is from the Prisma Visions. Hopefully you guys get a nice idea of what's going on here. Now, death, you see this, obviously, probably we are imagining the Reaper's hand. But there's a rose blooming. Now, this is a card that I also did a discussion about the negative cards in tarot, which is probably hands down one of my favorite discussions I did on Periscope. But, hands down, one of the most feared cards in tarot. because people, for some reason, literally think that when this gets pulled, that it means somebody's gonna die. I don't know why. I don't know where this stemmed from, but every time that people get this pulled, they literally are horribly frightened. But look, I'm being candid here, guys. This card is not horrible, okay? I mean, me personally, I feel that way, but me being completely unbiased and just presenting my tarot reader logic, without any, it being my favorite card bias here, it really does not mean anything bad in my personal tarot reader opinion. Because it literally means that it's time to close the door on some things in order for you to progress. Death. Some things must come to an end in order for new things to begin. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm going to show you this card again. With death, death is presenting you a new opportunity. Alright? Now look. With self-love, I'm gonna leave this off with this idea for you guys, okay? You must release and let those old horrible ideas about yourself go in order for your inner beauty and these really potent true ideas about yourself to bloom. And same thing with like being an empath and just in general, like as a person, sometimes we need to let go of people, we need to let go of situations, just in general, anything that does not serve us anymore. You are allowed to let go of those things, of those people, of anything that is not benefiting you anymore, and instead is just dragging you down and weighing you down and just instead hurting you instead of letting you flourish. Remember that. Okay, guys? You are allowed to say goodbye to things that are preventing you from progressing. That includes ideas about yourself, people, situations, and just in general, things that are not allowing you to blossom. So remember, with the death of some things comes the blossoming of new things. Alright? Namaste.